Hey everyone, it's Monday, so I will be posting this later today. I'm gonna pose this as a channel message and just kind of go with the flow and tell you what's coming into my awareness. So I'm being guided to talk about my dreams last night, my visions and dreams last night, and then I guess they're gonna tell me more in a minute, but and this is going to be relevant for someone who's watching this. This is important for someone to hear this, so that's why they're compulsively telling me to do this. So I had about 2.5 hours of sleep last night. And during that sleep, so I have a Aura ring, and I was wearing my ring, and I looked when I was awake. I ended up getting another like 2.5 hours after that, but like I had a block of me being awake and having discussions with my guardian angels. So I looked at my heart rate during my sleep, and it was over 100 beats per minute. It was like 109 or something like that. And this dream that I was having was so intense during it because it was this female, and it looked like she had naturally darker hair, but she lightened it a bit, and just pretty in the face, like Caucasian maybe, or some European, like white in some way, like light skin. And she was so loud, like almost forceful with the way that she was, not almost, she was very forceful with the way that she was talking to me, and like basically being like, why is this happening to me? Why is this going on? And just feeling like really frustrated and fed up with everything. And I was like just talking back to her and like trying to console her basically, and just kind of listen. But it was more, she was like more just frustrated than anything. It was like, you know, it's kind of like with those people that like, no matter what you say, they're not going to be able to hear your advice necessarily, because they're just not in that state currently to hear it. And so the best thing that you can do is kind of give them their space, or give them their a floor to express themselves. And so that was kind of the feeling that I was getting later. And then but it was like kind of that frustration was being put onto me, you know, to the point that like obviously there was nothing I could do, but she's looking for a solution. And then that was what woke me up, is like her just being really, really loud. And so basically my guardian angels were telling me to tell her, and just by design, I guess, telling you this advice that they were giving me at a point where I was really frustrated, and I continue to suffer with these frustrations, and so it always brings me back to what they had told me, where like the things that I get frustrated, and I felt similar to her in some ways, it's this feeling of overwhelm. Like there's so many different negative things going on worldly. Like, where do you direct your energy? And even if you do, like, you're only one person, and it almost feels like not enough. It's like, I wish I could be, like, what do I do? It's not necessarily I wish I could be more, but it's like, what more can I do? And like, where do I go from this? And like, why am I experiencing it's kind of like the shrapnel of this disease, or this war, like the disease of the world, right? Like, why am I experiencing the shrapnels of this? And it's very frustrating. And this is part of like visions that I was getting when I was awake. After this, I was getting visions of, this is gonna get a little graphic, but of like previous visions I've had of war and of famine and of like the things that I was saying in previous videos, where I was seeing a controlled beginning of like fires being like late, like I don't know if I said this directly in any videos, but I've seen like some device that kind of like laser beams and starts fires, and then some sort of change in the field or like vibrations underneath the ground, that'll distribute, it's like some sort of like maybe that's what starts volcanoes. It distributes plasma somehow. It interrupts the plasma, or like the way that Earth naturally vibrates, like actual Earth, not the atmosphere or whatever kind of thing, whatever. But like there's vibrations underneath the soil, and so like the Earth's core, and it's disrupting that in order to create different like world events, like circumstances like that, and like weather modification and other natural disasters being modified, and like the mindset that some people have, whether they're just drunk with power, whether they're ignorant, whether they just all different kinds of things. They enjoy bad things happening to others, like they're bitter, and or they have no respect for human life or any other kind of life. They're hell-bent on destruction, all kinds of things. And then things that I actually know and witness, like and have heard like personally of these types of things, as far as military attacks upon people or whatever, all these kinds of things. And then also seeing like gangsters and military attacks, and it was showing me from like a drone view. Well, I'm mixing this up because because there are visions I've had of that, and then I've actually seen footage of this type of stuff. And so that was all kind of intermixed with like the personal plights of people, and like all of the different kind of issues that are happening amongst people, like with just literally everything that we can possibly have a debate about. And it's very frustrating, and it kind of makes me feel like, what is going on here? It was never, the perception that I feel is it was never this bad. And one could argue, and people have argued, that it's because we weren't fully aware, in previous centuries of what was going on with other people or whatever. So those are some of the issues, but we didn't quite have the technology, the technological advances and militaristic, which kind of coincide with each other, to do the things that we're currently doing, which are, whether it's classified or unclassified information. And a lot of it had to be dealt with by manipulating masses of people in order to pull this off, or even spiritually, like seances and things, to conjure things up. And so it was still very hands-on for centuries. So anyway, those are some of the issues that I feel, and I felt connected to this female that I was dreaming of. of like, I totally get it in a lot of ways, and like maybe I don't feel the same of like, why do I have to suffer? But I felt that way about love for a long time, and like vulnerability, because I didn't have a good childhood. I didn't have like I for a long time I felt very feral in my mind because I raised myself, right? And you know, people can say like, oh well, like when you're born you have nothing, and to see where you are today, like that's already a big accomplishment, right? But for me, I always feel like, well, I literally had nothing. I had no support. And in fact, I had resistance from the very beginning. It was constant resistance against me and everything that I am and everything that I thought or believed or said or did. And that perpetuated into adulthood. And so I would get resentful and closed in because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to be, I just didn't want to put myself out there in that way. And so I really focused on material success. I focused on just kind of like every situation that I could feel like I could be in control of. Any situation where I felt like, you know, like people would perceive me as like being outgoing and being mysterious, because I would come in and be this like personality, like seemingly open, and then I would leave. But the reason I would leave is because I wouldn't want to feel vulnerable. It's like, this is what you wanted to see, and then I would go. And so I would feel resentful towards my guardian angels, towards spirit, because I would tell them like, I'm doing everything that you're asking of me, you know, like I'm not being a bad person anymore because I had a lot of growing pains to get through, but I'm like, I'm doing everything that you're asking of me. Why is it that I'm not receiving something in the real world, you know, that shows me love? Like something, like why do I have to rely on spirit? Why do I have to rely on you? Why can't you just, like a divine intervention, like something so intense that real life you can show me and you can prove to me that it's not in my head, or that I am like destined to just kind of coddle my own self as I've done my entire life. And the message that I would get is, you need to be vulnerable. Like you need to be more open. And that is going to open the doors. That's going to open the floodgates to the love that you're looking for. You have to do that because they are waiting on the other side of the gate. They're waiting for that. But this is your lesson. Your lesson. And we have given you, like, we've given you the messages in the way that you need to know this, right? Like, there are so many people out there that don't receive the information in the way that you're receiving it. So they, like, you can look at it from another person's perspective of, I have all of this love in front of me, but what about beyond? You know, so it's like looking at things from another perspective and being like, I wasn't ungrateful, but I just wanted spirit to do the work for me in some ways, because I was already doing I was already doing a lot, but I wasn't doing that one step. You know, it's like the step that I knew I had to take, the step of being vulnerable, because that lesson had taught me and is still teaching me so much more. Like, it's such a powerful tool for me to have, that had they just thrown me a bone, that I wouldn't have been able to, it's not appreciate it, but I just wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been pushed enough, motivated enough to just realize that I was safe. You know, because even with vulnerability, it's like, it's just the perception of feeling unsafe, or the perception of actually feeling vulnerable, but you're not, right? So anyway, that's part one that they were telling me this morning, is like a reminder of that part of my personal journey. And then there was another part where they were talking about how I'm going to say they took me on a trip, a little vacation, a spiritual vacation, where I was meditating, and I was telling them, like help me break out of this mindset, help me figure things out, like, why is everything happening in this way, what to do, what do I do, and it was starting to feel overwhelming, which is something that I very rarely say about myself. I very rarely feel overwhelmed, probably because I try and control things, but it's like they took me, like they said to, like, pull yourself out of the situation, like beyond Earth and beyond the galaxy, and just completely pull yourself all the way out and look down at the world, down at the galaxy, down at the galaxies, and see you, like, see you as BERRA, see that, and remember the things that you've understood since then, which is that we're beyond that core identity of who we are right now. Like, I'm beyond BERRA. I am beyond this world. Like, our energy is much larger than this world. It's extremely large, because it's everywhere. And experiencing all things simultaneously, but perceived in a line, right? And look at that, and remember that, and understand that. And then as you go back in, stop closer to the world, and look at everything going on, and there you can see the problem. Like, there you could see everything from, like, a bird's eye view. And then that's your answer. There's the answer there. And then go back into who you are, like, go back into BERRA, and then from there you have all the answers back within you, right? It's like kind of explosive, the information that you have of, like, the world is within you. And look, do you see what I'm saying? As like I just see a vision of myself and everything that I witnessed inside of my body. And basically the message is never underestimate the power within you. Never underestimate the choices that you have and the opportunity that you have to perceive things in different ways. Because within there lies the problem, is that people, including yourself at times in your life, underestimate the power of you, and you underestimate the opportunities and the choices that you have to move away from fear, move away from perceived vulnerabilities, and act from a loving perspective. Like, you know that you love everyone. You know that. That's your inner truth. And in reality, that's everyone's inner truth. So take personal responsibility for that. Take personal responsibility for your actions. And that's all you can do. You can't take responsibility for anyone else and what they do and how they act and react. But if you do things from love, from compassion, from care, from desire for the other person to feel comfortable finding themselves and acting in ways that they know is safe, then that's you doing your part. It's not imposing on other people your own beliefs or imposing on other people what you think that they should be doing. It's saying, I love you, like I love this person. I can see your purity. I can see you beyond your identity here. And I understand that because I can grant myself that grace. I can grant myself that understanding. And your choices are your choices. And my shield, like my force around me, is this loving action. Right? Like this change in vibration. Because when you're high vibrational, when you're loving, when you're kind, when you take action on your own life and you take that personal responsibility to dissolve fears and frustrations and resentment, all of that exists within you from time to time, and you just, like, that's a natural human emotion. But when you constantly work to and practice resolving that sooner and sooner and sooner each time it exists, then it's not a vibrational match for other people who are acting from other places, negative places, right? It's not a vibrational match. And because of that, because high vibrational is so fast, it's gonna disrupt them naturally. It's gonna disrupt them. And this doesn't even mean that you have to converse with another person. It's just how things work, how things operate. And that will in turn liberate them from that low vibration. It will help speed them up. So I'm going to pull from these two as a final message for everyone. Helping children. Part of your life purpose involves teaching, guiding, and helping young people. God is in charge. Dear God, help me let go of this situation, giving it in faith and trust to your divine wisdom and infinite love in order to resolve and heal everything and everyone involved. An energy healing work. Thank you for sending healing energy to me through me for my own blessings and for all those around me. Thank you for connecting me to loving and high integrity healers and teachers of energy healing modalities. I'll turn this way in case you guys want to look at it and screenshot it. And that's what I have to say today. There's another child right there too, by the way. Bye, guys.